I'm calling in the information of our ancestors to come through me in the ways that they would like to be spoken. Let me become a pure transmitter of pure frequencies and the voice of the blood and the voice of the bloodline. As you can see, I am in beautiful Sedona. It's a little overlighted. Maybe you can't see. Can you? Let me see. Yeah, you can't really. The red rocks are in the background, and for some reason, the camera is not really capturing it. How cool! I look like I'm in some sort of celestial realm, which is nice. Let's roll with it. Yeah, the mountains are in the background, and maybe as the lighting changes, you'll be able to see them. Either way, you are able to feel the energies of it, and that is quite literally my background, or my backyard. So whenever I'm recording, this is always right here, but I feel like I'm going to come up here more often because the energies here are just very potent and they're meant to be shared. Whew. I am diving into quantum healing today and how it is connected to our ancestral line, the healing of our bloodline, and the immense impact that quantum healing has on the collective consciousness, but also, of course, showing up in your individual life. I feel like a lot of times when we hear QHHT or we hear quantum healing, we think about this out there space that we're accessing, like we're accessing the Akasha, like some place out there, out in the cosmos, out of our body. Like so many people say, we're going out of our body, right? So thinking of it as this database somewhere in space, somewhere in outer space, that library that holds all of the genetic memory of everyone and everything and all life itself. And while that is a thought or an idea or something that some people even perceive that way, I want to invite us into a different perception. When we embark on a quantum healing journey, we are accessing the inner realms. And now we all know that our DNA holds memory. And our DNA holds more memory than any computer chip, microchip, or big freaking black box somewhere in the Antarctic. So we know that the information of all existence is literally stored within us, is literally flowing through our veins right as we speak. Now, sit with that for a second and breathe into that for a second. Now, that is power. That is power. We hold the wisdom of the photo omniscient universe within us, literally in our DNA, in our blood. So when we're going on a quantum journey, we're going within, we're traveling within, we're accessing the dormant memory, the dormant information within our DNA. So a quantum healing journey is a journey into the body. And to feel that this information, the wisdom of the universe is literally flowing through us, pulsing through our veins, this is massive. So how do we unlock some of the information? Because now this blood that is within our body is the same blood that has been flowing through our ancestors. And a lot of us have an easy time to relate to the cosmic ancestry or the spiritual ancestry, the off-planetary family. Like, I know a lot of us Starseed have this deep connection to Andromeda, Arcturus, whatever, like another star system. For me, it's Lyra. There's just a deep gnosis and such a deep remembrance, and I know that a lot of us have that, and yet all of our ancestors are literally combined within us. All of their blood is flowing through us. So as we connect to these earthly family lineages, we are able to access the wisdom that they hold. Because yes, some of them had very mundane lives, but some of them were high priestesses, monks, beings that were able to transcend time and space, shamanistas, medicine man, royalty. All of this is also pulsing through our veins. Old Druid wisdom, Atlantean wisdom, Lemurian wisdom, all of this is right here, accessible to us. So that also means that trauma, the wounding, the fragmentation is also in our blood. If we look into our life and we see that maybe we feel like we're in a loop of poverty, maybe we feel like we are stuck in a certain energetic caste system that we just can't break out of, when we feel like love relationships are far away from what our heart and soul, our light, is desiring and craving. And most of these things do not originate in this lifetime. I'm not saying to bypass the wounding of this lifetime, not in any way. This is vital, this is important, and it's most available. But the trauma that we witnessed and experienced in this lifetime is a remnant of what happened in our bloodline. It's basically a tiny tidbit of all the trauma that occurred. So we can tap into the emotion of this. We can tap into the feeling of it. And as we tap into that feeling, as we're processing the wounding in our bloodline now from a higher consciousness, we're able to release it. If we healed all of our sexual trauma in past lifetimes, if we never been wounded, or if certain aspects haven't been wounded, or it already has been healed, we do not have to go through this in this lifetime. And I do know some people who had a very, very easy, very sweet life, and their parents had a sweet life. So they came here for a different reason. If we endured any sort of trauma, and most of us have, It is because it is still running in our bloodline. And we needed to experiences, we needed a reference point for these emotions so we could heal it. And now we can heal it from our higher vantage point, from our higher octave of consciousness that maybe our great grandma didn't have. So this is why these things are occurring. And yes, the traumas in this life are very vital, and it's the first thing we have to look at. But there is much deeper stuff, and it is complex. We are in a multidimensional existence, and you don't have daddy issues or mommy issues. You have ancient bloodline issues. So it's not that easy. And while it's also not that complicated while you're going through the process, when you look back at all the healing that had to occur, you're like, damn, this is pretty complex. So this is why we're speaking about this today. This is why we're speaking about ancestor healing and bloodline healing. So now that blood of your ancestry is again flowing through you. You have your blood from your mom, she had the blood from her mom, and so on and so on. So there is ancient blood running through you with all of the memory, with all of, again, the spiritual gifts and the wounding. Now, all of this information is stored in the blood. We see this in the animal kingdom, queendom. When, let's say, a fox eats a poisonous berry, he gives on or passes on the information to the other foxes so they don't have to eat this poisonous berry and die, to know that, hey, this is not a berry we should eat. This is how species stay alive. They share a hive mind. They have a shared consciousness. And the blood, the DNA, is the data bank. So as that DNA changes in one fox, because now he was like the test object that is like, ooh, that berry is poisonous. So now that DNA strand, or however, I'm probably butchering this, but you get the idea, is changing and switching and upgrading in all of the other foxes. So the same happens within us. As one ancestor in your bloodline has an experience, went through a spiritual evolution, or went through wounding and went through immense fragmentation of DNA, because what wounding does is trauma and wounding is leading to fragmented DNA. Now we live in a miraculous body and a perfect vessel that is always able to juvenate and come back to perfect health and youth and an immaculate existence, but DNA does break down through trauma, because trauma has a certain frequency, and DNA breaks at 100 hertz or lower. Like there is literally scientific evidence for that. So in a moment of trauma, the frequency of this intense emotion or this experience is much lower than that. So this causes DNA to break down. So we also carry this in our blood. And now I want us to see how vital this information is. Our blood is magnetic. Our DNA is magnetic. So the memory, the frequency of our DNA, or the memory of our DNA, has a specific magnetism. So this is magnetizing. What is within us is magnetizing certain experiences that are basically the perfect key for this coding. And so you see how now the experiences you are magnetizing are related to your DNA, to your blood, and the ancient memory of your bloodline. So we have to go deeper into our healing, to look at the wounding and the trauma that existed in this life is not enough. It just simply isn't enough. We are multidimensional beings, and we are here to remember and tap into the past wisdom. This is very, very positive. This is very beautiful, but that also means work. But let's say your ancient Taoist ancestors didn't just sit on the mountains and meditated for 200 years so that you have no access to it. They did this to literally purify the bloodline. They knew what they were doing. They knew that this work wasn't just for them. They knew that if they did this work, if they unlocked certain DNA strands, if they reached certain heights or depths of consciousness, that if you shared their blood, you would be able to tap into this as well. You know, the deep wisdom of your Germanic lineage that I carry. There's wisdom in this. Yes, there is a lot of trauma in this, but there's also a lot of spiritual knowledge in this. And if we deny or abandon certain bloodlines, we're also abandoning the immense spiritual and energetic wealth that comes with this bloodline. And with that, I'm inviting us to really go within with all of the things we're experiencing. It's easy for people to blame certain things on psychic attacks, or people term energies as demonic, and people speak about certain energetic implants. And while I'm working with this as well, it's vital to first look into our own bloodline, because mostly it is something within you that it's making itself known. And now looking at our bloodline, our family lineage, our blood lineage, there is so much war consciousness within all of us. Yeah, we all are a big mix and curry of different bloodlines. Okay? And chances are high that some of the blood you carry is the blood of your past rival. So now how will this impact your consciousness? That's very interesting to look at. So sometimes these demonic frequencies we perceive are bloodline wounding or anchored memory in our blood. So this is why when we point outwards, we can get stuck in a weird loop where healing isn't occurring. So this is why with our meditation or the journey, the second part of this, we're diving into the ancestry. And one bloodline will come through that right now is most vital for you to communicate with. And this is not a complicated process, it seems so easy and simple, and that's why for some this might not feel effective, or some doubt the effectiveness, especially like people who are very left-brained. It is that simple. Because the moment we're taking something that is lingering in the subconscious and is just making an appearance here and there, maybe in emotional outbursts or in depression or whatever way, we're now taking this energy and we're bringing it forth to consciously communicate with that. And that in itself is a healing process. And now a higher consciousness is the witness. Rather than this energy possessing you whenever there's a little portal for it, now we're creating a space in which higher consciousness is witnessing this energy. And it is most likely, like whenever we talk about possession, it is most likely our own family lineage that is possessing us. it's there's parts work, and parts work is talking about the exiles and the inner children and protectors and all of that. But it's more multidimensional than that, and it's more ancient and older than that. It's not just exiles from this life or what happened in your childhood. We get possessed by ancestral energies. Like, I definitely experienced this in a very extreme way, where I would look at myself and I'm like, I am being possessed. And I knew, like, something inside of me knew that I wasn't being possessed by a demonic outside force. That was within me. And so that can happen to all of us, and I'm sure it does, and maybe in more subtle ways. Maybe it's not as extreme as it was in my case, where I would go from 0 to 100, and just that most aggressive war consciousness would come through, like it was a life or death situation. And I would start to sweat within like 2 seconds, and my sweat would start to stink. Sorry for being so graphic, but I'm like, what is this energy that is coming through? And it was just a little miscommunication with me and my partner. So when I'm in a relationship and my lover is just like, yo, what's happening here, and there's just a little bit of energetic miscommunication, this aspect would come out. And it is bloodline stuff, it's ancestry stuff, it's war consciousness that is coming through. I'm not being possessed by some outside demonic force or some entity. This is within our bloodline. So this is why, as we claim this as ours, as we claim this as, hey, okay, I'm hearing you, this is when healing occurs. When this energy, immense force comes in. And for you, again, this might be more subtle. For you, it might be a state of hopelessness, or a state of depression, or a state of fear. Yes, it is your inner child, but it is also your ancestry. And when we communicate it and we invite it back in, we heal it and we honor it. Because that ancestor that is in fear, and the fear that sometimes possesses you, might also be the ancestor that has immense wisdom for you. And that that blood memory deserves to be transmuted. Yeah? We deserve to bring this fragmented DNA strand back into wholeness and back into an ascended state. And this occurs when we, again, create space and we give this energy a voice. It's a controlled space, or it's a designated space where this energy can be let loose. And you'll see, the moment you give this energy room to speak, it's not going to just destroy, or it's not going to be crazy. It's going to communicate with you, and sometimes it takes some time, and sometimes it takes compassion and patience, but it will communicate. And now we took something from the unconscious into the conscious realm, and now it's transmuted, now it's healed. It's literally that simple, it's literally that easy. And again, today we're going to do this for one bloodline, for one ancestor that wants to communicate with us, or that is willing to come through. And so I just want to share this other example from my own life. I feel very much connected to my Asian spiritual lineage. I feel very much connected to my Siberian spiritual lineage. The shamanism, the wealth of wisdom there. I remember a lot of my Asian timelines, and I am very much connected to it in this lifetime. But something I always denied was my Germanic lineage. And it is so interesting, because if you look at my face, you can clearly see, okay, wait, there's something going on. And throughout all my life, people either thought I was Kazakhstani, or people always ask me, well, where are you from? And I'm like, well, German. And I grew up in Germany. Like I'm in the, like, it's been 5 years since I've been living in the US. So most of my life I lived in Germany. And people would always ask me, well, where are you from? I'm like, I'm German. Yeah, but where are your parents from? I'm like, homie, I get you. Like, they are German. My lineage is German. All of my great grandfathers that I know of are German. And it's interesting because, again, if you look at my face, there's clearly facial structures that are more like upper Caucasian, Siberian, Kazakhstani, Mongolian, Asian. So, and in this life, it was very much present, like in my travels and my relationships. So I have a very clear connection to that lineage. But something I always denied was my German lineage. And it's older than just the Second World War. It's not because I carry some guilt for the war within me. That's not the case. I just never resonated with German consciousness. I never resonated with the wounding in it. It just never felt like home. And yet, clearly, I have Germanic blood in me. Clearly, there is a Germanic bloodline within me. And when I met Alexander, one of the first things he said, because I mean, he has access to these realms, he is a galactic shaman, he is a gatekeeper for the galactic realms. So he has a very strong connection to the multidimensional realm. And he looks at me and he's like, it's time for you to reclaim your golden armor. And I got so upset with him. I'm like, I don't know what you mean by that. Like, speak to me in a language that I get. And I got so triggered. And I didn't know why. Because all he said was, it's time for you to reclaim your golden armor. Like, I see you as this, like blonde. Like, there is this force in you. And I see this golden armor. Like, it just showed itself to me. And I got so upset. Because I was like, well, I don't process reality in this way, and I don't know what you're saying, and I don't know what to do with this information. But something deep inside of me knew what to do with this information. And it just clicked the other day how I was denying that Germanic lineage. And what he was seeing was the wealth of wisdom that is in my Germanic lineage, that is in the history of it. And so this golden armor is the wealth of knowledge and the wealth of spiritual wisdom and fortitude that is in this lineage. So for me, it is time to bring this lineage back into wholeness, because my ancestors are like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're denying your Germanic lineage when we are the ones that did all of this work. And it was almost like this energy came through in intensity. Like, the Germanic lineage is very intense. Very intense. And it's also like, why are you denying this, man? You are us. We've done this. We brought you here. You know? So they're and it's more ancient. It's way more ancient than any of this World War BS. Like, this is child's play. This is upper dimensional Germanic lineage. Like, we're speaking about levitation, we're speaking about telepathy, we're speaking about this aspect of the Germanic lineage. They were very, very spiritually wealthy. So, whatever that is for you, maybe this is the lineage of your dad that you don't feel a connection to, or maybe if your parents are separated, maybe there is a disconnect to your grandparents, or maybe your grandparents from one culture treated you like shit, and so there is this disconnect to this culture. Or maybe your father is from a different country, but your father wasn't there, so you don't have a connection to this part of your blood, or you deny this bloodline in whichever way. But as we deny the bloodline, we also deny ourselves the wisdom that this bloodline wants to come through. And we will feel the rage of the bloodline. And I don't mean this in a sense to induce fear, but we cannot deny ourselves. This is like, why would we? There's so much beauty, there's so much wisdom in all of this. Why would we ever deny parts of ourselves? And so I'm very much excited to go into this quantum journey and to uncover some of the wisdom that is in your bloodline. Because this work has a ripple effect. Again, think about this example with the fox. And maybe this was a shitty example, but you know what I mean, this 100th monkey effect. As we change within our DNA, within our blood, every ancestor is being healed backwards and forwards, and every person, and now this is major, every person who carries that blood, who carries that DNA that you carry. And how many people are this? Millions? Thousands at least, but millions? So now you are changing the DNA, and this DNA will turn on in all of these people who carry this blood. That is major. That is quantum healing. And you see why QHHT or quantum healing, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be QHHT. The quantum journeys are so impactful. We are rewriting healing on a quantum level. This is bigger than us. Yes, it will have an immediate effect on our family, on our mother, father, sisters, grandparents, children, but it has an effect on every single person who carries our blood. This is major. And one more thing regarding this, the war consciousness. What we see here on the planet is what is happening internally. Again, since we have so many different bloodlines within us, and a lot of these bloodlines have been at war, we are literally healing the war consciousness within as we go into the bloodline healing. And we will see the effect on planet Earth. That's a fact, that's a law. So, whew, powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Well, I'm sorry that this, I cut the video and I tried to like make you see the background. I'm sorry that this didn't work. The energy is still there. Let me attempt to get an angle from which you can see the mountains, because I literally climbed up this mountain so you would have this incredible view in the background, and I'm in this little cave here. So I did this whole hike, and now this happened, which it's beautiful. Again, it's like very celestial, and I feel like I'm floating somewhere in space, in the heavenly realms. Yeah, but let me see if I can get a little shot of the red rocks so you can see this beautiful view. I love you all so much, and I'm excited for you to go on to the quantum journey. Prepare a space, whether that is now or at a later point. Create an intentional space, lay down, get really comfortable, and I know that someone wants to come through. There's a specific lineage that wants to come through right now. I love you.